What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Sierra Nevada Brewing Company, and they're out of both Chico, California, and Mills River, North Carolina, and this is their Barrel Aged Narwhal, the 2019 vintage. So this is an Imperial Stout that is aged in bourbon barrels, comes in at 11.9% alcohol by volume, 50 IBUs at the time of review. This can is approximately 4 months old. So late last year, I reviewed the base Narwhal, the 2019 vintage as well, and I don't know what it was that day. Motorcycle going by. I don't know what it was that day, but it hit me in the feels. I've always considered Narwhal to be an excellent Imperial Stout, but it was so delicious, it kind of just blew me away. I believe I gave it a 4.75 out of 5. But some people didn't agree with that, and other people did. Kind of how it goes when you review beer, and everyone has different opinions. But yeah, it kind of surprised me too. I didn't think I would like it as much as I did. I hadn't had it for a couple years up to that point. But I wanted to review the barrel-aged version because of a couple different reasons. Number one, I've had prior vintages of this. I think I had the 2013 and 14, and I really enjoyed it. And then I saw a good friend of mine and fellow beer tuber, Kyle, over at No Hype Beer Reviews, review this beer a couple of months ago, and he really enjoyed it. And to me, how he reviewed it and what he was saying about it and everything seemed a little bit, I don't know, rough, fresh. Like, I don't know, a lot of it sounded, I don't want to say it sounded disjointed, but it sounded like a little bit, it was a little bit rough, and maybe you could use a little bit of age. And, Kyle was like, I like it fresh, could be, even better age. And I was like, to me, it sounds like, a little bit rough, fresh. But at the end of the day, that's why we all have different palates. And it was fun seeing Kyle review that one and really enjoy it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait a couple months, and I think I'm going to grab one and review it. So here we are. This was supposed to be, I believe, one of the last ones last month in March for Shelfie beer reviews. I picked this up as a shelf because, you can pick this up pretty much anywhere. So around here, or you could anyway, up until the whole COVID-19 thing. So yeah, I've been waiting to drink this one. It's been out of my fridge for well over an hour, and yeah, it's time to give it a go. I cannot wait. I'm curious to see, how the base was just crazy, really roasty and almost charred-like, and a lot of dark fruits, and, just more bitter than I anticipated. So I'm wondering if the barrel's going to produce some sweetness and kind of like mellow it out a little bit. We'll see. Giving a pour here into the Firestone Walker glass, and yeah, we'll do something like that. I'm not trying to get crazy, you know what I mean? Like, this is a big fucking beer, almost 12%. Really like that. It's in a can too. Really sweet. Anyway, that looks beautiful. So that pours out like a huge Imperial Stout. Pitch black, has about a 2-finger mocha colored head, very creamy looking. Looks kind of like a hot chocolate head, maybe not as, it's a little bit darker, but just has that kind of vibe to it. Looks beautiful in the glass, honestly. Let's get a nose. So the barrel's definitely there. Definitely getting bourbon, 100%. The spirit itself, vanilla oak, a lot of barrel character right on the nose. Underneath, though, yeah, the core, the vibe, the base beer is there. The thing with Narwhal is I really get this big roasted malt character, almost into a charred kind of nature. I'm getting like black licorice, dark fruits, like a dark cherry underneath it, cocoa, 60-70% cacao bark type of quality coffee. Has more of a bittering aspect to it, but that barrel's like blanketing the entire base beer with a nice sweet, like spirit sweetness in that vanilla and oak. Whew. Yeah, it smells really good. Caramel and toffee too as well. So as it's opening up in the glass, I think the barrel's kind of coming to the forefront more so than the base beer, kind of taking over. Because as I swirled, I just get like this nice mixture of like chocolate and vanilla and oak and spirit. The charry, almost charred, big roasted malt character, and the bittering aspects kind of dying down a little bit, and it's just more of a sweetness. Oh, it smells real good though. I don't know, there's like a burnt sugar now going on, like almost like a caramelized, like caramel toffee, but like just like straight on burnt sugar. Man, it smells really good. Slight umami character, and here's the funny one thing I remember from that. I should have looked at that review before I reviewed this one. I remember that beer like having a really distinct umami character on the nose, but it never carried over into the taste. And I'm getting it a little bit now as it opens up. Yeah, it's not like straight on soy sauce or anything. It just has a slight umami character that's definitely here. Man, it smells pretty good. Actually, take that back. It smells damn tasty. Like, it smells great. I want to get into it. So cheers, everybody. Ooh. It's boozy. It's definitely way more boozy than regular Narwhal. What is regular Narwhal? Is it ABV? I can't even remember. I should have fucking looked at that review because I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I review so many beers now. I want to say like regular Narwhal is like 9 to 10%, something like that. I don't know. This is 11.9. Definitely a bigger beer than the regular Narwhal. Maybe Narwhal's 10.5. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing anymore. Can definitely tell this is 12%, 11.9%. If I was doing this blind, 11 to 12%, easy. There is a chest warming. There's a booziness on the palate. To me, this would definitely, I think this would be better with some age for me because it is boozy. And I don't know. I like the flavors, but man, through the nostrils, there's definitely like fusel alcohol, like just boom, like wow, I didn't expect that. Now, again, after taking that 1 month break and not drinking a bunch of big beers, could be just my sensitivity to it. Maybe somebody who didn't take a break and has just constantly been drinking, and reviewing beers and stuff. Maybe 11.9 doesn't bother them as much, but definitely I can tell this is a big beer. Body and mouthfeel we'll go with real quick. Body's like higher side of medium, lower side of full. I like to see it a little bit bigger, bit thin for what I'm looking for. The mouthfeel, it's soft, it's smooth, it's somewhat creamy. Enough carbonation there to let you know it's a beer. I think the mouthfeel is appropriate. The body's a little bit thin for me. But the taste, right up front, that spirit hits. It's bourbon, it's vanilla, it's oak, right at the forefront. And then underlying is the base beer. There's chocolate, more of like 60 to 70% cacao bar, like I said, in the nose. There's like this nice coffee roast. And that's like right at the forefront. So it's kind of like the spirit battling the base beer. And the spirit's winning out a little bit at the front of the palate. As it continues on through, though, I think the base beer is starting to kind of win its way and find its way to the forefront of the palate, because mid palate, I'm hit with like these dark fruits, like black licorice type of vibe. And then as it finishes with a mild to moderate bitterness. Pretty much, I'm gonna take it back. I'm gonna say it's moderately bitter on the back of the palate. It's moderately dry too. It has like a semi-dry finish. This is not overly sweet, which is nice. And that's what I found about the base beer, was that it was not overly sweet either. It was more bittering. And this kind of has that quality, but I think the front of the palate has enough sweetness to say this is kind of balanced. The finish, though, is definitely bitter for me. Yeah, that getting like a dark black cherry, too, on the finish as well. The barrel, I think here's what the barrel's doing for me based on my memory of reviewing the base beer about 5 months ago. The base beer was a really well-made imperial stout that had 8 to 10 different characters. It was more of a bittering imperial stout, more of a roasty, charry kind of imperial stout, not a ton of sweetness. As I continued to drink that, and I actually I don't think I mentioned it on camera, but as I continued to finish the rest of the bottle, the bitterness built up and had a very moderate bitterness, and I think that's what's going to happen here. But what I think the difference is with this one compared to the base is that bourbon character at the forefront is really producing a nice sweetness that hits you up front to kind of balance out the entire palate. I still think this finishes more to the bitter side of things, finishes more dry. But at the same time, I think the front half of the palate having the bourbon characteristics and the overall just sweetness kind of, for me, makes it somewhat more balanced. I still think it leans to the bittering side of things, but I still think it has more balance than the base beer. Do I like it better than the base beer? I don't think I like it better than the 2019 vintage. I gave that a 4.75 out of 5. This is not a 4.75 out of 5 for me personally. On the back end too, with that black cherry, I'm getting a little bit of like an oak tannin dryness too, which can just be part of the finish, the drying aspect in general. Okay, so I don't like it as much as the base from 2019. I think that one, just for me, I don't know what it was that day, it just worked for me. I think I really like the base Narwhal a lot. I'm not saying the barrel made this one worse or anything. For me though, it definitely took away a little bit in overall enjoyment to the beer. I think it's a little bit lacking in body for me. I think the alcohol is a deterrent too, because 11.9%, I'm definitely getting the alcohol. I'm getting the vapors. There's definitely in the nose, I can feel it. As I'm getting acclimated to it, it's kind of going away a little bit, but it's definitely more boozy than the base, which it's a bigger beer than base, so kind of makes sense. That said, this is still, to me, a really well-made, tasty barrel-aged Imperial Stout. So I'm going to give a rating on the Sierra Nevada Barrel Aged Narwhal 2019 vintage. I'm going to go straight 4.25 out of 5. So yes, it's a half point lower than the base beer for me. For some of you out there, you might just be like, that's blasphemy. And I get it. We all have different palates, as I said. You know, Kyle really liked this one. I thought it sounded kind of rough, fresh. And honestly, still at 4 months, I think it's a little bit rough. I think give this a year, maybe 2. And I think that barrel will integrate with the base beer and then become very cohesive and just like, you know, blend together well, meld together. And I think it'll be a great beer. As is right now, it's a damn tasty, good beer. I just have a few issues with it, from the alcohol being a bit astringent to the body being thin, and to maybe, you know, just enjoying the base beer more and having that somewhat fresh in my palate and having an understanding. So 4.25 out of 5 for Barrel Aged Narwhal, the 2019 vintage. Price and availability, it was $20 a 4-pack. I only bought a single can. I was thinking about buying a 4-pack and laying some down, but I got so much beer, I just was like, I'm gonna buy a single can. So $5 for that can. Fucking great price point. I mean, that's almost 12% barrel-aged beer for $5 a can. Can't go wrong. And availability, Sierra Nevada. Like, you should be able to find it pretty much everywhere, especially in the States. And yeah, so if you've had this one before or any other prior vintages, let me know what you think about it. And what is your opinion on this to the base Narwhal? Like I said, I wouldn't think in a million years that I would like the barrel-aged Narwhal less than the base Narwhal. But for the 2019 vintages, for both, I definitely do. I think the base Narwhal is just a classic, just almost world-class Imperial Stout. I think the barrel-aged Narwhal is quite tasty, but just not as good as the base. So kind of surprising, but it is what it is. Anyway, thanks to everybody stopping by for another beer review. Appreciate it. To the next one. Cheers.